the writer of Acts takes some liberties with historical details. It's just the nature of this particular writing. We see that right away in Acts chapter 1. Now, we read both the ending of the Gospel of Luke and the beginning of the book of Acts. We strongly believe, based on historical evidence and writing analysis and language analysis, that these were indeed written by the same author. Definitely not somebody named Luke. Definitely not a doctor. That is a tradition that wouldn't come into play for 100 years after this stuff was written. We have no idea who wrote the Gospel of Luke. We have no idea who wrote Acts, but what we know is it's the same person. And what we read was the ending of one and the beginning of the other. They're telling the same story with some big differences. What happened here is that the writer went back and kind of retconned Jesus' departure from them, did some retroactive continuity work. He goes back and says, let's retell the story, let's add some details. And so you can take some time and kind of look over that detail if you want, but let me draw out the big differences here in the version that's told at the end of Luke and at the beginning of Acts. Because in Luke and in the other Gospels, Jesus leaves on the same day as the resurrection. It happens right that same day. But in Acts, we have introduced the idea of 40 days after the resurrection is when Jesus leaves them. In Luke, the location is Bethany. But in Acts, it's the Mount of Olives. Those aren't far away from each other, but it is a distinction. The departure itself, in the earliest manuscripts of Luke, it doesn't say that he ascended into heaven or was taken by clouds or anything like that. It just says that he withdrew from them. In Acts, we have the story of Jesus being lifted into a cloud, witnessed doing that by the disciples. In Luke, there are no angels or men in white robes that show up, but in Acts, we have this apparition of men in white robes that speak to them at that moment. In Luke, there's a mission given to proclaim to all nations beginning from Jerusalem. In Acts, we have this more clear mission given to share beginning in Jerusalem and all of Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. There's two different ways of telling that story, and it isn't all just adding detail.